started. Now,
Hola, hola, señores.
El
viajero del tiempo. De repente me aparezco acá en ¿cómo se llama esto? Venecia.
Paseo del Río o la pequeña Venecia de San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio, Texas.
Aquí en Venecia, en el pequeño Venecia.
Now, one other thing is to please keep any arms, legs, feet, elbows, heads inside the boat at all times. We might experience some narrow passageways with some other boats. It depends on how busy the river gets today. So I would highly recommend you keep any and all limbs inside the boat. On the railing is fine, just make sure they're inside of the railing, you know? If not, don't worry guys, just pick your least favorite limb and you'll be fine. Now, one other thing guys is that there is no smoking allowed on board. It's actually quite illegal to smoke on the river, including cigarettes and vapes. Just to give you a heads up, it's a $200 fine if you are caught smoking on the river level. Just for your information. Now,
aquí, como ven, me escuchan la voz, es que están dando una explicación.
But just know that it is illegal to drink on the street.
La historia de esta pequeña Venecia.
So like pick your vice and pick your cooler. Other than that guys, the park police can and will pull me over just to get to you. Their determination remains unmatched in terms of giving out fines. So please don't let me get pulled over if it's not even my fault. If it's my fault, I get it. But like if it's not, then why? You know how much paperwork I would have to do? It's too many. I would just quit at that point. Now, one other thing guys is that there are life jackets on board. We have life jackets just in case we end up like Titanic #2. Now these life jackets can be right here underneath that hatch door. Not this one's for water,
restaurantes y eso.
I don't know, but there's just a bunch of emergency tools in there. You can pull these after that. But other than that guys, those are the life jackets. Because those people are probably the closest to me, they'll probably get the first life jacket. It's just a first come, first serve type of basis. But in case you somehow end up inside of the river and there's no life jackets nearby you, because trust me, it does happen, there are a couple things that you should follow just in case you somehow end up inside of the river. So, step number 1 is to kick your feet forward so you end up floating on your back. See guys, it's very important that you face upwards when floating in the river instead of facing downwards. You can't exactly breathe that way. We're not exactly fish. But after the second step is to stand up and walk out, because literally it's not that deep. In fact, the river's only 3 to 4 feet deep in most cases. As long as you stay inside the downtown area, Riverwalk area, you're looking at anywhere between 2 feet to 5 feet deep, basically kiddie pool.
Ahí ven a la señora como da una explicación.
But if you go outside the downtown area, we can't help you, literally. It's anywhere between 2 to 30 feet deep. So just stay where we know you can get to us. Now, one other thing, guys, is as we embark on this 2.5 hour journey cruise, I hope everyone went to the restroom, got a snack to drink, as well as fill up on
2 horas y media.
So, in case you
No, esto dura 2 horas y media.
Es lo que estoy oyendo.
Now, there is also water inside of the San Antonio River. And in case you do need to use the restroom, don't worry, guys. We have this corner in the back. We'll all look away. That way no one gets shy. So, other than that, guys, let's embark on our 2.5 mile journey, not 2.5 hours. I can talk, but I like that.
Es 2 millas y media, no 2 horas y media.
Over here on the right-hand side, it's going to be the statue of a man holding a baby. Look at him right there. This is, you can't see that, is St. Anthony of Padua. He is the patron saint of lost things, and this is how San Antonio got its name. You see, on June 13th, 1691, way a long time ago, that is the same date that we had our very first Catholic Mass. And that's the same day we decided to settle here. Now, because it was June 13th, it just happened to be St. Anthony of Padua's feast days. Now, the settlers back then were Spanish and Catholic, so they decided to give us the name San Antonio. If they had arrived a day earlier or a day later, we would have been called something entirely different. Now, we did already have a name before we were given San Antonio. We were called Yanaguana.
Lo que bien dice San
Clear
Antonio.
peaceful waters by the Native Americans who were here before us. Now, I mentioned this before, but he is the patron saint of lost things. So if you happen to lose your phone, wallet, or keys inside of the river, don't worry, guys. It's gone forever. Just forget about it and move on with your lives. Now, that doesn't mean you won't get to see it again. You see, though, next year we're actually going to drain the river, take everything that's not supposed to be inside of it out, and put it up on display on the local 6 o'clock news. So as long as you tune in, you might get to see your wallet again. Isn't that wonderful? Now, can anyone guess what is the number one thing that we usually find inside of the river?
Muy bonito todo esto.
You guys need to speak up a little bit louder. Keys? No. Correct. We found over thousands of cell phones the last time we fully drained the river in January of 2020. Now, back then, before the pandemic hit, we used to clean the river every single year. But because of the pandemic, we haven't touched it. And even though we did clean it this month, though, we actually are still in the process of sorting through that trash. No, we don't know exactly how much trash we're buying, but I think a little idea of it. We found thousands of cell phones in 1 year. Can you imagine how many cell phones we could be finding in 3 years? That's the number that we're looking at. We're looking kind of scary. Now, San Antonio was selected to host the 1968 World's Fair, which back then was kind of like being selected to host the Olympics. But instead of everyone competing against each other on an international stage, we just had one big giant carnival. Think of it as a San Antonio-themed Tomorrowland from Disney World. Now, one other thing though, guys, is that we realized very quickly that we did not prepare enough hotel space for all the people that are going to be here. You know that thing when you invite people over to your house and you know they're going to spend the night and you give them a place to sleep? So we forgot to do that for like 6 billion people. So we were doing a mad dash of hotels and we're all like, oh great, yay. And then we finally think we had it all together and we're like, got this, it's in the bag, we're doing great. And then 1 year before the World's Fair, someone's like, maybe we should like double check. And so we did, and we realized we were one short. So we asked everyone far and wide if anyone could build a hotel in under a year. Everyone told us it was impossible. You would have to be crazy to try to attempt to find a hotel that was built in under a year. Anyone would even try. And then one crazy person said yes. His name was H.B. Zachary, and he said, I can build a hotel in under a year, no problem. Oh. And in fact, they're building under a year. Don't worry, I can sell it back to you for $1. I don't know what. Anyways, that's okay. I can yell the whole time. Over here on the right hand side, that is another one of our boat locations here. That is our historian location. You see that little shack? Now, it said that they took that location about 18 months to build. Now, over here on the left hand side, folks, you can see this is the hotel that See, it took them about 8 months to build this hotel. In fact, it took about 202 working days. You see, every single one of those cubicle rooms was built at a separate location 8 miles away, fully furnished. Since that, it earned the world record for the fastest world record of its time. Hello? Okay. Over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see La Villita. La Villita has actually been around since 1722. Now, this is the very first neighborhood of San Antonio. This is where the Spanish soldiers would go ahead and hang out with their family members after a long day defending the mission of San Antonio de Valero, which is more commonly known to everyone else as the Alamo. Yeah, the Alamo name's not even about, it's not even the real name of it. It's just a nickname we gave it because it's easier to shout, remember the Alamo in battle than it is to say, hold up. But remember the middle of the middle. You know, just rolls off the tongue better. Over here on the right hand side, guys, you're going to see
Esto
that
es como un
this is the
anfiteatro aquí que hay ahí,
stage.
mira.
Now this stage was
Ahí
actually
es donde
featured in a
cantan.
movie. Can anyone guess what
Y
movie?
acá es donde se sienta el público, ¿eh?
Yes, Miss Congeniality was featured right here
La
on this stage.
villita es
That's
aquí
where
donde
they
se
have the
establecieron los
split
primeros de
seat
San
portion.
Antonio en
And this is also the exact
1722.
same spot that we learned what the perfect date
Según
is.
ella, aquí fue donde se establecieron los
Obviously,
primeros
guys, it is a
ciudadanos
nice,
aquí en San
long
Antonio,
day in April
en
25th.
este lugar que se llama La
It's
Villita.
not too hot, it's not too cold, and all you need is a light jacket. Now, if you look straight ahead, guys, you can see this cowboy's wriggling in some
Mira, chaval.
bulls. Now, this cowboy statue is originally called Coming Home to the Briscoe due to the fact that it sits right behind the Briscoe Western Art Museum. Now, the Briscoe's actually been around since 2013, and there's some pretty cool things inside of it, like Pancho Diaz,
Oh,
last
mira.
known saddle, Santa Ana ceremonial
Mira,
sword,
la
and an
última
interactive
batalla de
diorama
Pancho
of the
Villa.
Battle of the Alamo.
La última batalla de
Inside, they
Pancho
have
Villa.
Eso es una
huge
estatua de la
exhibit
última
called the
batalla de
American
Pancho Villa.
Cowboys, where they feature cowboys in current state of the United States. They go all the way from Wyoming to Colorado and Montana. Go ahead and check that out. Now today, this Saturday, they're actually going to have a free community day, so you guys can go ahead and check that out inside. Now the Briscoe's only been around since 2013, but the building's actually been around since 1930. You see, it's part of a long-standing tradition here in San Antonio where we don't destroy our buildings. We keep them around for as long as possible. So from 1930 to 1968, that was the San Antonio Public Library. Then from 1968 to 2002, it was the Circus Museum. You see, guys, unfortunately, though, the Circus Museum did have to close early due to a tragic accident that happened with one of their exhibits. They had a flea circus exhibit, and then one day a dog walked in and they stole the show. We're looking for them to this day. I'm going to go ahead and go underneath this bridge here, folks. As we do so, please remain seated. This is one of our lowest hanging bridges that we're going to experience here on this cruise. Now, there should only be one person in mild danger here. Obviously, it needs to be me for legal reasons. But even though I stand at a staggering 5 feet even, you actually have to be underneath 4'6" to pass underneath that bridge completely unharmed. Now, over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see this black sculpture. That is called Father Massenet's Table. It was put there as a way to celebrate the location of the very first Catholic Mass. It happened right there on that island. In fact, this island is loosely shaped in a heart. It's also called Marriage Island. So, not only did it have the very first Catholic Mass in 1691, but we have over 300 couples that get married there every single year, dating all the way back to the Mexican Revolution. Said to bring good luck, fortune, and prosperity. Now we're going to go ahead and speed underneath this bridge because I hate it. If you look underneath it, you're going to see that there's some white stuff. Ooh, these are spider eggs. Yeah. But yeah, those were spider eggs underneath this bridge. It's not exactly my favorite bridge in the world. I got two unnatural fears, folks. I'll share them with you. One of them is spiders, and the other one is the IRS. They don't make sense, but I understand that. But that's just what it is. Now we are inside of the Oatmeal Crossing. This section of the river is so shallow and so hard compact that people would just get a horse and carriage and go straight across. Now Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders often used this area as a rest stop back in the 1800s. Now, if you ever want to do me a huge favor, look all the way up and to the left. You're going to see a tower with a flag on top of it and some gargoyles.
para descansar.
Does anyone remember the original movie Ghostbusters?
Yep.
Is this building looking a little familiar?
Este salió en la película Los Ghostbusters.
If it is, you're wrong because it's not in that building.
Come on.
Yeah, it's just a random building, guys. I'm kidding. This building is pretty cool. It's called the Tower Life Building. It's actually been around since 1929. If you look just below the second story window line, you might see it. There are some nasty looking faces just below the second story window line here, folks. Now, these mean looking faces were put there as a way to ward off bad luck and bad business. That way, when the Tower Life Building opened up back in 1929, it was ready to face the world and all that it had to offer. Then something else happened. Anyone want to give a wild guess?
Somebody died.
That's somebody didn't die, but something else died. The stock market crash. So because of that, it was the Great Depression. A lot of people did end up dying. They spent $3 million making this building. Because of the Great Depression, they had to sell it back to the city for $300,000. They lost 90 cents for every
Edificio que
single
acabamos de
dollar.
pasar
But if you look back behind
en
the
el
house, you're
1129
gonna know
por
that this building is now
cuando llegó
designed to look like
la,
a ship
¿cómo se llama? La
coming
Gran
from the
Depresión,
river.
se vendió en $300,000.
This beautiful ship, I like
Todo
to call it
eso.
the Titanic of finances. Isn't that pretty cool? Now guys, straight ahead you can see the Bexar County Courthouse. Bexar County Courthouse is the oldest continuously operating courthouse in the state of Texas. This gets a unique red color from Texas red sandstone and has been around since 1897. Now we're going to go ahead and go underneath this floodgate here. As we do so, I have to honk my horn, so if you are sensitive to loud noises, now is the time to cover up your ears. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I know. Make sure I don't want to shatter your eardrums. Now I do apologize guys, I don't always like to toot my own horn, but it does happen occasionally. You know, I just have no control over that. Straight ahead guys, you're going to see this bridge. This bridge has covered up with a bunch of stuff. These are love locks. People get a padlock, put their initials on there, lock it in place and toss the key into the river, symbolizing that their love is going to last forever.
Con razón, vi unos, ¿cómo se llaman?
Yeah, it's symbolism, but
Candados,
you want to
la
know what
gente
else is
pone
pretty
candados
funny?
en las paredes ahí.
There's 11 combination locks that I know that are
Como
on that.
símbolo del amor a alguien y tiran la llave aquí abajo.
To those people, we just wish them the
Pero,
best.
Ahí vas
¿cuál
a
es la
ver,
historia?
vas a
¿Cuál es
ver
la
candados.
¿Eh?
Di la historia, di la
Now
historia.
we are inside of the flood control channel,
Ok.
guys. This is how you make sure that the water
En estos
stays the same
lugares,
level
en
on
estos
the inside of the downtown area.
barditas, la gente
And the
pone
reason
un
why we have all
candado
this is because,
que
the
para
river's pretty
demostrar
dangerous.
el amor
In
a su
1921, it
pareja
rose
y
9
tiran
feet
la
above the street,
llave
caused
abajo al
millions of
agua.
damages and killed
Ese
over
queda,
50.
queda encadenado.
In fact, the
Como
Army
buen
didn't
cubano, para
show
amarrar la
it,
mujer.
They were going to fill it up with concrete so it never saw the light of day ever again. It wasn't until a man by the name of Robert
Ya, tiro la
Hudson
llave,
said at the last second to save the
casi
river with the
necesito
proposal
salida.
of the flood control system, stating that even though we will never fully control the river, we can at least somewhat direct
Soy
the
bien
water,
prevenido.
giving us the river walk as we know it today. Now, if you look over here on the left-hand side, guys,
Pues si
all the
acaso,
way down
yo
there,
soy
you
bien
might notice
prevenido.
there are two towers in the distance. Those two towers are San Fernando's Cathedral. Now, San Fernando's Cathedral has been there since 1731. It is one of
Aquella es
the
la
oldest
catedral de
religious
San
communities
Fernando.
in the state of Texas. Now, just a friendly reminder, guys, to please remain seated at all times.
No te puedes poner de pie.
Guys, what other, I'll make sure, bud, if you die, that's on me. So, one other thing is that tonight they have a free light show at 9 o'clock and at 9:30. So, if you're looking for some free, fun, educational time, you're more than welcome to go ahead and check it out. It's called The Saga, and it tells the story of San Antonio. Once again, it's San Fernando Cathedral, 9 o'clock, 9:30, two showings. Saga. Not a lot of things are free these days, so you're welcome. Straight ahead, you're going to see this tree. This is the Ben Milam tree. This is the tallest tree on the Riverwalk, and it's over 300 years old. In 1835, it got its
300
name.
años este
See, there
árbol.
was a Texas patriot by the name of Ben Milam that was unfortunately shot
ese
and
árbol
killed by a Mexican
300
sniper
años.
on the tippity top
Mira.
of those branches. He was the lead commander of the Texas side during the Battle of Behar, where the Texans tried to take over San Antonio from the Mexican government. Even though Ben Milam was the first one dead, the 200
Eso es
men
un
that
árbol de
first recruited
300
to
años
fight in
de
the
vida,
battle
imagínate.
took that as inspiration, continue on
Vaya.
and were successful.
Espero que Fidel no lo mejore.
Then the Mexican government heard about it, hated it, so they sent a man by the name of Santa Anna to come back and reclaim the area, leading to what is now known as the Battle of the Alamo. Now we're going to go ahead and look over here on the left-hand side. I told you how high the water rose in 1921. I'm about to show it to you. You see, this building here on the left-hand side was the city public service building, where citizens would go ahead and pay their gas and water bill. In 1921, it opened up a couple months before the flood. You see these chandeliers inside? See those chandeliers inside? Those chandeliers are in pictures on the first floor, resting on the water during the 1921 flood. Not hanging, resting. That's how high the water rose. Crazy. Now, on a more fun note, let's look over here on the right-hand side. This is the Esquire Tavern. Now, the Esquire Tavern's actually been around since 1933. It opened up with a fully stocked bar minutes after Prohibition was declared over. A lot of people like to ask the question, what? How'd they get so much liquor on there? When alcohol was only legal for like 2 minutes. Asking too many questions. But I'd be happy to give you a hint. You know, we're besties now. So, before they opened up as a bar, they were actually a barber shop. Now, this barber shop had a very specific haircut that you could get 2 or 3 times a week. Even if you didn't have any. Now, over here on the right-hand side, we're going to see another one of our boat locations, folks. This is our Aztec location. It's actually been around since the mid-1920s. Technically, it's still considered today to be a silent movie theater. But let's be real, folks. When was the last time you heard that a silent movie was coming to theaters near you? It's been a hot minute. So we use the stage for local performances and cultural dances instead. In fact, you see that Aztec statue on the 3rd floor? It's still waiting for the next Hollywood
el
silent
cine mudo.
blockbuster.
El cine mudo aquí en San Antonio primero. Porque
If you
no
look straight
había
ahead, guys,
sonido.
you're going to see this bridge.
En
This
las
bridge
películas.
is the Robert Hugman Bridge. It was dedicated to the man who saved the river, boosted the local economy, and gave us the #2 tourist attraction in all of Texas. That in 1997, nobody cared. Because something else happened to this bridge. There was an unknown woman who stood up upon this bridge during the filming of a movie about a Donald star who died before her time. Ever since then, it's been known as the Selena Bridge. So Jennifer Lopez did sit up upon
Este
this
es el
bridge
puente
during the filming of
Selena.
the movie right before they went to
Este
the
es el puente
Alamo
Selena,
movie
ese es el puente
Selena.
Selena.
In fact, if you look back at it now, you're going to notice that that is the exact camera angle that was featured in the movie.
Oh, porque salió en la película.
Now, over here on the left-hand side, guys, you're going to see that there is the Amazono Rio. Now, the Amazono Rio has actually been around since 1958, but as a different name, it's been around since 1853. This was St. Mary's School for Boys. It housed about 100 students at the time, where they realized they needed to go to a different location 5 miles away and upgrade their education.
Era la escuela
Today they are now
católica
known
para
as
niños.
St. Mary's
Aquí.
University. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna
Fue una
go into
antigua
this bridge here, folks, as we do
escuela
so, we're gonna
católica
see
para los niños.
Cool illusion on the other side of this bridge. In order to view it, you need to look at the building on the left and look up. Are you ready? And 3, 2. Everyone notice how the building
No.
looks like it's black? Now this black looking building is actually the old Nick Hospital.
¿Está esto?
It opened up back in 1930 and it closed recently too in 2019. It was the first fully service hospital that had air conditioning inside of it. It was a lot of people's favorite hospital. So there's been some pretty cool people that were born here, such as Carol Burnett, who was a famous actress and comedian, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North of Desert Storm,
O
a
aquí
former
nació
mayor of
el
Mars,
coronel Oliver
Seattle,
North ahí.
who did a lot for higher educational students in terms of leadership, and Michelle Rodriguez, who starred in the Fast and Furious movies, as well as the most recent movie she did, Dungeons and Dragons. Now straight ahead, guys, you can see this hotel with the windows and the red stripe in the middle. This is the Hyatt Regency. Now the Hyatt has actually been around since 1981. But at one point, the city of San Antonio was threatening to shut them down. A lot of people were like, well, why? Well, because you see, guys, they unintentionally messed with our biggest crown jewel, the Alamo. So in the middle of construction, people noticed that you could see an unnatural shadow being casted upon the Alamo while the sun was setting. And that's a huge sin in San Antonio's book. So they pulled the building permit. They told them they could never have another hotel here ever again, and they were actually scheduled to destroy the building within a week. It was a bit dramatic, so the high-end who actually reached out and was like, hey, can we like talk about this? Thankfully, they were able to go into a round of negotiations, and they stated that they could stay as long as they did a series of shadow testing to make sure that their building would not cast a shadow over the Alamo. After the shadow testing was concluded, they decided that 16 stories tall was the best ideal height for the city. Now, coming up here on the right-hand side, you're going to see this red clay-colored building. This is the Casino Club building. It's actually been around since the mid-1920s. It used to be a way for high society Germans to intermingle with the locals. Nowadays, a restaurant on the first 2 floors, and the rest of the floors going up are apartments. There used to be a author who stayed up there. His name is Alex Healy.
Ah, guácala. Hay una serpiente, güey.
Now, a lot of people hear the word casino and they get excited.
Con una serpiente.
It's illegal in the state of Texas. I know, super sad, but you know what else is super sad? Jail time. So once again, gambling is illegal in the state of Texas. If anybody asks you, oh, do you want to go gamble? You say no. You only play high society games of chance. Is that understood? Remember, if no money is
Mira, entonces todos estos árboles tienen 100 y pico años.
Sí.
Prizes are a different question. Now we are inside of Restaurant Row, guys. This has the highest concentrations of restaurants here on the river. They have such a wide variety of options for you guys to enjoy. They have Tex-Mex, they have Mexican food. Did you want more? This is San Antonio. You realize where you are, right? If you look over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see that railing with the word architect and husband underneath it. It's going to be right there. Now, this is where Robert Hugman put his office in 1941. In fact, there's a statue of him right there by the staircase, still on the right-hand side. Now, he wanted to prove to people that you can have a business survive on the river after the flood control system was built. But it took about 5 years for anyone to even consider coming down here. In fact, the first business to do so was actually told straight to their face that they were never going to get, that they would be swept away with the river, never to be heard from ever again. But if you look over here on the right-hand side, you might notice it's still here today. This is the oldest restaurant here on the Riverwalk, Casa Rio. Now, Casa Rio has actually been around since 1946. It's still owned by the same family today as it was 77 years ago. In fact, they were the ones who introduced the idea of having boats on the river. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a left here, folks. As we do so,
Los mismos propietarios de más de 70 años de Casa Río.
Raise your hand if you think that the river is natural. Interesting. Raise your hand. Okay, if you think that the river is man-made. Nice to know I have a boat full of haters. Anyway, as you know, underneath this bridge here, folks, you might notice that we are entering into the man-made section of the river. So this from here, all the way back that way, is all man-made. It was built in the 60s as a way to connect the natural part of the river all the way to the World's Fair. In fact, the San Antonio River is actually 90% natural and 10% man-made. The natural flowing river, guys, we just built around it and to reinforce it so that way we could experience it. Now, who wants to know how fast this boat can go? All right, we're going to go ahead and kick it into high gear. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1. Can you feel that neck-breaking speed of 4 miles per hour? What? Now, if you guys think this is slow, the next story I'm about to tell you is actually even slower. If you look straight ahead, you can see the Marriott building with the 2 spikes on top. This story is not about them, but it's about what they did to the hotel that was there before, the Fairmont Hotel. And had been in that exact spot for about 80 years. The Marriott people bought the land, and they were going to destroy it until the Conservation Society very not nicely reminded them they couldn't do that. So they had to do the next best thing, which is separate it from the ground, put it up on a bunch of wheels, and push it down the street at 0.4 miles per hour. The project took about 6 days, and thousands of people lined the streets just to watch
Eso
the
que ven
hotel.
allá es un restaurante y ese restaurante allá gira, da la vuelta.
can't stay here forever, guys. But if you look over here on the right-hand side, Tower of America. Does everyone see it? Peeking
La
through the
Torre de
trees.
las Américas se llama.
There you go. Okay, now we're moving
Se llama
on.
la Torre de las
Tower of
Américas.
America has actually been around since 1988.
Como ven, es un
It was the
restaurante
first
de arriba
there, and it
y
was
da
the tallest
vuelta
freestanding structure in the United
360
States when
grados.
it was first
Sí.
built.
Da vuelta a 360 grados, despacio, pero da la
Se
vuelta
domina
completa.
toda la ciudad.
Y desde ahí domina toda la ciudad, puedes ver toda la ciudad, puedes tirarle fotos, puedes hacer de todo. Como ven, bueno, ya estamos llegando acá.
La construyeron en 1988. Esa torre.
They built it recently, and it actually
900.
1988.
Ah, en el 1988 fue construida y todavía está en pie.
Now straight ahead, guys, you're gonna see Stargazer. She's made up of over 80 pieces of volcanic rock, and she's holding a marble star in the middle with a hole in the middle of it.
Espero que les haya interesado el
So she's
viaje
looking through it at something.
para los que
Can you
tengan la
guess what
oportunidad
she's looking at?
de venir a San Antonio y visitar la pequeña Venecia.
Dolphins.
Miren.
Yeah, go ahead, yell out loud, guys. This ain't clouds. Moon, stars. Good answers. Good answers. Any other answers before I go ahead and reveal the answer?
¿Qué es lo que está viendo a través
All
del
right, are you
agujerito?
ready?
¿Qué es lo que
She's
ve?
looking at
El sol,
literally
¿no?
whatever you want her to look at.
Se
The
me,
artist left it up to
Se me pasó la
interpretation. So as long
explicación.
as you believe she's looking at
Alright,
something,
bueno,
trust me,
señores,
she
hasta
definitely
aquí.
is.
Ya hemos llegado.
Now, I like to think she's
Espero
looking
que
at
le
the
haya
future, the end of the
gustado
story,
el-
'cause that's where we are.
el viaje
What?
por todo-
Crazy!
Por
Amazing how
toda
magic
la
works.
pequeña Venecia de San Antonio.
Now, I'm going to go
Texas.
ahead and I'm going to dock us here, guys. Please remain seated until I completely and safely dock
Una de las
this boat.
bellezas de mi
There should be
estado,
someone here on the
Texas.
right-hand side who's actually going to have
Señores,
your
los
photos that you took
los
before you
convoco
hopped on.
a venir acá y
And,
ver
if
toda
you
la
like to
belleza que hay
already
aquí.
onto
Ahora
the
voy
currently
a,
onto the boat, please take
ahora voy
everything
a
with you. If
comer
it's
algo en un
something of value,
restaurante
you
y-
can find it over my shop at
y
eBay.
luego
I'll sell it to you at
seguir
a
camino.
20% off. Don't worry.
Muchas gracias, vale, bye.